got a couple minutes after 10. I think we'll go ahead and start the meeting. And we're going to start with roll call, which is going to be a little tricky. But everybody somebody just say your name and it will move from there. So I'm Skip and I'm here.
Jeannie Breeden and I'm here.
Okay.
Linda Woods and I'm here.
Susan Thomas, I'm here.
Colin Pearson, I'm here.
Okay.
Okay,
Linda Matlich and I'm here.
Okay, and I've got a new member here, Jan Muller.
I'm
Hi,
here.
Jan.
Hi, Jan.
She just became a member as of about 3 days ago.
Somebody's on.
Jeff Brown, I'm here.
Oh, Jeff Brown. Okay.
Jeff, okay, how are you? And I know Brandon's there.
I'm here.
Okay, Frank is here.
Oh, Axe. Okay. Somebody has Safeway on there.
Lynn Nightingale is here too. Hi, Lynn.
Hello. Hi, Lynn.
Hello, Lynn.
Morning.
And
Julie
Traxler.
Julie,
Oh, good.
Yeah.
how you doing, young lady?
Oh, I'm good. How are you?
Surviving the heat.
Yeah, I know.
Really? Anybody else that I want to get the roll call? Is there anyone else that hasn't answered?
Stephanie Hess is here.
Oh,
Oh,
Stephanie.
Hi,
Okay.
Stephanie. How are you?
Hi.
Hi, Stephanie.
I'm Diana Swart. I'm filling in for Tom Tinsley today. He couldn't make it, so hopefully I'll be able to help.
Okay.
Thank you. We appreciate your stepping in for him.
No problem.
Okay, I think we've got our roll call pretty much under control. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda that anyone can see? I sent out a second agenda last night
Oh, I didn't get that one.
with,
I didn't either.
it didn't have anything much. I added a second item under new business, which is a county elections office data that Linda Woods is going to present to us. And that was pretty, oh, and then I made the change. Well, I was going to make a change put Diana in there. But other than that, it's pretty much the same agenda.
Okay,
So if everybody approves of the agenda,
I
And-
do.
then we'll move along. We're looking for the minutes from the July 15th meeting. Do we have any
Corrections?
corrections or additions?
No.
Okay,
None here.
all right, do we want to vote on the acceptance of the minutes?
So moved.
Oh, was that Lynn was first? Okay, and second?
I'll second.
Okay, Julie second. Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, anybody disapprove? All right, treasury report. The treasurer, poor Jerry, her computer is absolutely gone south for the winter. So she sent me the information about it. She said that as of August 6th, the balance in the account is $881.26. She says nothing has changed from the year end. Also, she has made 80 signs since the beginning of the year. 34 of those were for Burke Ranch Homeowners Association.
Oh, wow.
And since the TV ad went out, at least 15 to 18 sign orders have come in.
That's in addition to the 80, right?
That's addition to the 80.
15 more.
So we're getting address signs out there, hopefully to people in more rural areas where it's more difficult for the fire and ambulance people to see where they are, see where they're located. So I think this is, it's doing a good job. Okay, public forum. Please limit your comments to 5 minutes. Any items not on the agenda and not requiring action by the commission. Guests are requested to identify themselves and their organization if they are representing one. Is there anybody with any public information? I see.
I have one comment, and that is maybe next month we can put on the agenda, we can discuss. After we can meet in person again, I can set up a camera and I can feed that to YouTube. So our meetings could be live on YouTube every month, but we should probably put that on the agenda and talk about it.
To record meetings. Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Well, then people can actually watch, they'll be able to watch the meeting live on YouTube if they want.
Oh. Okay.
And they can watch it. In fact, I put a link on Gold Country Senior Issues, so anybody that saw that link and feels like watching can watch us right now live as well.
Perfect.
Is that something that could be put on the active aging page?
Yes, yes. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be putting an article in there. Well, I'll talk about it when we get to it, but yes, I could add that to it. Okay. Okay, any other public forum information? So we'll move on to new business. The new business, it's first item, second surge of virus in the county last month when we had our speakers here. They were speaking about a second surge coming. And obviously, if you've been watching the paper or looking at public health, our second surge has certainly got here with its boots on. I'm hoping that everybody is doing well, that we haven't had anybody on the commission come down with any problems, but apparently they're having some real issues up at Kit Carson.
Yeah.
What
Gib,
was the
can I ask a
latest?
question?
Sure.
There was 10 new cases, right? If I got it right. Weren't they all isolated to Kit Carson?
There's way more than 10 new cases.
10 fatalities is what I meant.
Yeah.
10
yeah.
fatalities.
It's 11 now, I think.
But
11.
aren't they just all at one place?
Yes, as far as I know.
Huh.
I don't know. Stephanie, do you have any information on that?
I got a notice today. Let me pull it up from, let's see. The press release as of yesterday said that we've had 216 cases. Total hospitalized are 7 cases, 1 hospitalized out of county. And there's been 11 deaths. And I believe the deaths are all related to, I believe they might be all Kit Carson, but I'm not 100%.
That fits with what I've heard.
Yeah, and we've had our total active cases right now are 40.
This is Jeff. If I may add on to this, I'm on the Kit Carson website, and they had 29 positive cases. Now they're down to 15, 1 hospitalized. But they have had 11 deaths, and it's directly off their website.
Oh, okay.
Well, it seems to me it's a shame that we're actually shutting down so many more businesses here in Amador County, and the infections are all in one place. So I don't know why it should have to affect the whole county. Do you?
Well,
Does anybody have an
I
answer?
agree.
It's the fatalities.
Yeah.
The 200 and some cases are spread throughout the county. If you look at the public health site that Stephanie just referred to, there's also the statistics that show how many in Jackson, which are at 100, I believe, and then how many are in Ione, et cetera.
40, I think.
Yeah, down to Volcano. So overall, we're not doing that well. Unfortunately, all the fatalities were in the one location. So, But I just think it's unfortunate for the businesses, but a lot of restaurants are doing okay. I've been to several of them and picked up food. So that's my take on it personally.
Okay. Well, it's obvious that this thing is still continuing to kick us, and we all have to do our bit to wear our masks and do what we can do and support whatever happens.
Yeah, a lot of businesses that
Frank?
are seeing some kind of closure or partial closure, they can still carry out their business outside. So if they're a hair salon or a gymnasium, those are probably the businesses that are going to be impacted the most. Restaurants are already outside dining right now. It's certainly something to look at, but also, you know, can we get to a point where we can get off the list? That would probably be, you know, what would be advisable at this point.
Is there a way that a letter could be written to somebody? Because it's the gymnasium that I'm missing, and we can't exercise outside, which leads to mental problems, you know. It's just way too hot. There's so many oppressive things happening at one time. Could a letter be written where we could open up our gyms?
It's a possibility. It's something to consider. I don't know if it's going to help with the state. I think they tend to have hard and fast rules. Also, it would be, you know, as long as things stay stable, I don't think they're going to go, and open things up. But it's something to consider, that the board could send a letter to the state.
Well, Julie, we're exercising in the park twice a week. Why don't you come and join us? 8:30 in the morning.
Well, I have a situation. I have a shoulder injury, and it's too hot for me.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's already, you know, nearing 100 at that time, or 90-ish. I might.
Okay, let's.
Sorry. Which park,
Okay,
Jeannie?
I don't know the name of the park, but it's here in Ione.
Oh, down there.
Yeah,
Earl Perry
on
Park.
Shakley and
Fairway.
Hillside Street. Nice.
I think
that's called the Face of the Sun Park in the middle of summer.
There's shade.
Exactly.
It wasn't too hot on a Monday. It was nice.
Wow.
21 of us go.
Yeah. Linda's one of our leaders. She does a great job.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on to our county elections office data from Linda Woods. Linda emailed me and said that she was gathering some information from county elections. And Linda, what was the result of that?
Yes, so the ability to vote is very important to me, and I was wondering how it's all going within our county. So I posed some questions to the Amador County Elections Office via email correspondence with Mark Hammergren. And I asked him just a few questions, and he very promptly got back to me about the elections. So the first question I asked, on the Amador County Elections website, it says that one may provide extra help at the elections office or one of the vote centers for the 2 weeks prior to an election. Is this still valid information? And Mark said, yes, it's still valid. However, they already have identified their extra help staff for this November election. So if in the future, if you wanted to be an extra help person, you must complete an Amador County employment application and pass a background check. Then I asked if there were still 3 vote centers in Amador County, and also are there still 6 county election office drop boxes in the county? And he replied, yes. The vote centers The first one is the elections office itself in the county building. And, but the 3 vote centers will be available from 3 days before the election through election day. And the 6 drop boxes will be available starting on October 5th through election day. Some of the times vary on those, and I'll give you a link at the end where you can check the locations and the times for the vote centers and the drop boxes. Then I asked if they and when they anticipated that the mail-in ballots would be mailed out to registered voters. And I asked, will they be adjusting the timing of mailing due to possible slowdowns because of the Postal Service? And Mark replied that typically mail ballots go out 29 days prior to election day, but they are going to send out ballots 45 days prior to the election this time. And they will be accepting return ballots up to 3 weeks after election day if it's postmarked on or before election day. So that's a good long time. And that eased my mind quite a bit. People are concerned about their ballots getting back to the elections office in a timely manner. And I've had people volunteering to drive ballots in. So I asked, can someone help a voter by taking their ballot to the elections office or a vote center, or take someone else's ballot to a drop box? And the answer is yes. If a voter trusts someone else to drop their ballot off, it is okay. However, the person dropping off the ballot has to sign that space on the voter's envelope, indicating that they were the one, in fact, that dropped it off. Then I asked, what if a person needs to register or re-register to vote, but does not have access to the Secretary of State website? A lot of seniors don't drive, they don't have access to computers or are not able to use a computer. And I wanted to provide some good advice to seniors on how to make the best of an abnormal situation as a result of the pandemic, mostly. Also, who can register people to vote? And the answer from Mark is that anyone can provide voters with voter registration cards. Remember, you're not registering them, they are registering themselves with a card that you gave them. So any one of us can pick up a stack of registration cards at the elections office by appointment only, and then they log them to, in my case, as senior visitors. And then once they're filled out, the law requires that they have to get back to the elections office or vote center, if that is allowable, within 3 days. If you do help someone fill it out, a registration card, there is a place for you to write that in on the form. You can also sit next to a person with a computer and do it online for them as long as you have their consent. So I have a link also to a very recent article in the Ledger Dispatch about the upcoming election, which sort of went over a lot of what I just did. Also, you can go to the California's Secretary of State's website for more information. And I'm going to send my little write-up to each of you via email. So you'll have the links. In Amador County, please see the Amador County elections link to find out everything you need to know about regarding the upcoming election. So I'll provide that link to you. Also, the link to the locations of the 3 vote centers and the 6 drop boxes and their times that they will be available. Additionally, I spoke to the library, Amador County Library main branch in Jackson, as they're offering outside by appointment only computer access via Chromebook. So, you know, for instance, if you need to check your email or place holds or read the news or do some quick research, they will assist you. So you can just call the library for more information or to make an appointment. And I will provide all of that detailed information to you via email. And I hope to be able to answer anybody else's questions. You can send them to me via email and I'll do the research and my goal is to make this as easy as possible for seniors to vote, because it's a very, very important thing to do. Vote, vote, vote.
Thanks, Linda.
Okay, now.
Good info, good info.
We're going to also print that information in the active aging page as well.
Yes. I'm going to rewrite what I just told you into a nice article for the paper.
That'd be perfect. Okay, does anybody have anything to add to that? If not, we'll move on to old business. I've got down there the business cards for commissioners. If you want business cards for the commission, you need to email Virginia and let her know what it is that you need, how many you need, and so on. So make sure that you email Virginia. If you don't have her email address, you can email me and I'll take care of it for you. Any questions about that? If not, we'll move on then to our speaker, which is Diana Swart. She is the Amador and El Dorado District Public Information Officer for CAL FIRE. And of course, as we know right now, there's a lot of fires going on, and with the temperature, the weather, the way it is, a huge potential for more to go on, particularly with our concern with our wildfire safety initiative. So if you've got questions, this is a great time to answer them, ask them. So Diana, go ahead.
Great. Well, good morning. I'm happy to be here. I'm not really familiar with the, I guess the format, and not quite sure what it is that you're looking for, but my thought process was to kind of go over what comes to mind first is just preparing for wildfire, preparing for evacuations especially. We're at the time of year now where, defensible space for the most part should have already happened. We don't want to be doing any, obviously you can't burn right now, backyard burning is suspended, any kind of burning whatsoever is suspended. But even, some of the mowing, if you have tall grass, those sorts of things, this week is probably not the best time to do that. It's too hot for one. But also it's just with that dry weather and low humidity, there's a chance of a spark. And so we really just kind of want to lay low for a bit and let things cool off as far as that goes. So my biggest concern, I guess, would be the evacuation process and maybe getting ready, and especially for seniors. I would stress specifically to have a plan in place, make sure that your loved ones know what that plan is and agree, have a place to go, especially with COVID. If we can avoid an evacuation center, to me, that just seems like it could be more risky with COVID. So if there's family members or someplace that a few different places that you can maybe set up ahead of time, just in case, like, would you be able to put us up for a few days or a week or whatnot? And specifically, when evacuations happen, one of the biggest concerns or I guess questions and problems that comes up, and it's not just seniors, it's anybody, but once a community's been evacuated, they can't come back. So if you forget something, specifically medications, that could be a huge problem because law enforcement, our CHP will not allow people to return to that area once the roads have been closed. So please plan ahead with those sorts of things, medical conditions, any kind of equipment or medications. Make sure those are in a place where you can kind of grab and go. So those are kind of just off the top of my head. Are there specific questions, or I can go on and on about evacuations and preparing and
So,
yes.
so just to tell you what we've been doing, there's a lot of activity here to as far as seniors and everyone else in knowing where to go to plan. Our Fire Safe Council and the county have done fire route mapping. And so there's a lot of things that we've done and that we're aware of. I think, I'm not sure what Skip had in mind to ask Tom, but I think what we'd really like to know is what's new with CAL FIRE? Who are you working with? You know, what's the status with the COVID? What's the status? I understand there's a lot of new equipment available. Maybe some of that stuff would be interesting to others.
Okay. So I do know that as far as air resources, we're really trying to ramp that up. Unfortunately, I'm pretty new to this position. I don't know the specific names of all the aircraft yet. I haven't got versed on all of those, but I do know that the ones in the news more recently have been the Black Hawks that we have renamed Firehawks. They've been retrofitted. Currently, we are not using those to fight fires, to my knowledge. We are still trying to train up pilots that are able to use those and maneuver those, and then also getting crews that we can staff those with. But those are a huge asset because that's something that we can transport fire crews on. We can drop them, land and drop them on site, and then they also have we've retrofitted them with a tank that they can actually drop water. I don't know if we can do retardant. I can't remember if it's set up for that. Quite possibly. I don't think there's any restrictions, but I'm not super sure on that. And then of course, the ability to fly at night. That's one of the drawbacks to our traditional aircraft is it's just not safe to fly at night, or in very smoky conditions. It's not safe for the pilots or for the crews on the ground because they have to be able to know where everyone is. So the advantages to this Firehawk is that they will be able to hopefully maneuver a little bit better at night and under worse conditions. And I believe that they're going to have some sort of infrared sort of system equipped in that. We're still we're getting the resources on those. I believe we have 3. Okay, I'm not certain on that. I know we have more than one ready. It's just they're not completely piloted yet. With staff.
Is that just here in Northern California, or is that through the entire state?
So all of our air resources are available throughout the state. And we have different air bases that are spaced out across the state. And depending on what's going on at any particular time, any of these aircraft can go from one air base to the next. What we try to do is maintain resources that we can reasonably dispatch within 20 minutes. So depending on, if there's a fire at one end of the state and then something, starts on the other end of the state, we need to try to make sure that we have resources available to reach that within 20 minutes. So there's a lot of shifting and a lot of coordination involved, but that is the goal. One of the things I think you had mentioned regarding COVID. So obviously that's a huge concern for us. We don't want our staff to be affected, or at least minimally affected by the COVID pandemic. We try to keep our people healthy so that they can also continue to fight fires and do what we're supposed to do. I think you may have heard in the news that several of the inmate camps were affected by COVID in one way or another, either by exposure or infection, in which case that will take that crew out of service until they get the okay to go. So in anticipation for that, we have staffed, gosh, I wish I had the numbers. I wasn't quite prepared, but we have additional staffing of firefighters. And I know within our unit at Amador El Dorado, we have 2 new fire crews of 15 firefighters that are trained. They're just for fighting fire and doing kind of boots on the ground sort of work, you know, the hand lines and just what you would see, I guess, an inmate crew do, except that's they do that consistently. That's what they do. So this team of firefighters, we've got 2 now. We just established our second one, I believe, last week, but the first one that we had, they all live together. They're all have the same barracks. In fact, unfortunately, for this crew, they've been away from their families for, oh gosh, I believe it was over 40 days, mostly because of the drawdown on the state, just resources. But I guess a silver lining to that is that they really have very minimal exposure to anyone else. It's just now that's become their family. And they've been so far so good. Everybody's remained healthy, but they're a very strong crew. And so now we've just hired, I believe last week they finished their academy with 30 new firefighters, and some of those will be included in our second hand crew for the state, and then they will be dispatched throughout the state should it be needed or within our unit. And then we've also are in cooperation with the California Conservation Corps and are building up fire crews using the 3Cs and their group. So we actually do have a 3C fire crew now out of South Lake Tahoe, and they were training with at our fire academy last week. I saw them, and they look like they're getting geared up as well. So this is all good news because this is helping us with our resources, especially right now. As you know, there's fires everywhere, so we're pretty depleted. We're kind of bare bones right now within the unit. We still have enough staffing to handle fires within the unit, but we're getting at that point where we're starting to really have to strategize how we're going to set up and where we want to stage. And of course, we're using all kinds of outside fire agencies as well as local and federal government. So it's kind of what we do, but we're spread a little thin right now. So that's why we have the extra crews. So that's good. That makes me feel better that we just have a lot more resources on the ground. We also did get at least within our unit, I know we have at least, like I said, if I were more prepared, I'd give you the numbers, but I know that I've seen 2 new engines this year. So that's also good. So we have those engines available. So that's our ramping up for this year. Everything's changed. Everything's so different now with COVID. Even when a fire breaks out, you know, I don't know if you've ever seen how we brief, but people gather and then they listen to the incident commander, and it's generally just verbal, right? You just get in a group and everybody just listens to the directions. And now it's a lot like this. There's Zoom meetings, or we will broadcast it over the radio or Facebook Live and things like that, depending on the size of the fire. So there's a lot of modifications because of COVID. But so far, to my knowledge, definitely our unit is minimally impacted with COVID for now. Hopefully that'll continue. And throughout the state, no huge clusters or anything that I've heard of. So we're looking pretty good. And you got to remember, most of these people, you know, they're first responders. They're very used to staying, keeping themselves safe with PPE and face masks and whatnot. And we're required to wear face masks whenever we're around people.
Thank you.
Sure.
Are there any other questions?
Yes. Is CAL FIRE, like they have in previous years, doing updates on the website at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. every day?
So that's the goal. And in fact, I do those updates, and I'm late on the fire that's in Garden Valley this morning. I don't know if you get those updates, but that's the goal, is to do 7 and 7 on any major fire. Now, a major fire would be something that's 10 acres or more, or that would impact several, you know, a community in a big way. If we were to report every fire, you would it would be white noise, because we have fires every single day. But yeah, that's the goal. Sometimes it's an hour, or in this case, it's going to be a few hours late. But that's, you know, with the fire over there at the Murphy Fire, we're pretty well, this one's getting wrapped up. So it's not any really new information other than containment. But that's the goal, yes. We also use social media, which has, obviously, it's become more and more readily used and available. And so if we can get we will get updates more often on social media if you have the ability to get on Twitter or Facebook. We also post on Instagram, but Twitter and Facebook are our main outlets for information. That's several times a day, depending on the size of the fire.
What's the name of the Facebook page?
So for us, it's at Cal Fire AEU. And you can just Google that too, and it should bring up the Facebook, but it's at Cal Fire AEU for Amador, El Dorado. So we do the best we can to get those updated. But one thing I do want to stress is that the social media outlets and even that incident update is not an alert system and should not be thought of as that. So don't rely on these sorts of resources for getting information about evacuations. If you're feeling concerned, like, oh, you know, nobody called me or whatnot, Cal Fire does not have an alert system. That's not what we do. We, you know, put out fires primarily. The social media and that is information. It's obviously we want to get that information, and also we want to make sure that it's information that comes from us and not what people are just interpreting and sending out. You know, just anybody with a phone is going to be able to send out any information. But Cal Fire wants to make sure that we send out information that we can verify is actual. For Amador County, as far as an alert system, I would strongly suggest that residents would sign up for Code Red through the sheriff's office. And that works kind of like a reverse 911 system, where if there's something that comes out, not just fire, but any kind of emergency, they will be able to choose a location and then send out a recording to all of those that are registered for that location. So that would be the best, my best suggestion for an alert system.
We've been pushing Code Red quite a while now. Last year, we made a big effort and got lots of new signups. So I think everybody in this Zoom meeting is on Code Red.
Good, good. Yeah, that would be my suggestion. Now, Cal Fire also does have an app that you can register for. And it's basically that it will text a message to your phone when, if you put in when you register, you put in your zip code, and then it will text a message to your phone whenever an incident update comes up, which is generally that 7 and 7. The Sacramento Communications Office will get those updates, and then they text that out if you have the app. So then that way you'll get that directly to your phone rather than having to search for it. The only drawback to that is that, again, it depends on how soon we can get that incident update out. So if it's not exactly at 7, or if something happens, we get diverted to another fire and we can't update one fire, it just happens. It's about having personnel available to do it, and whatever our drawdown is. So I think one of the frustrations, and I understand it, it's one of my frustrations too. I get used to seeing something at a certain time, but it doesn't always occur that way. It just depends on what's happening in the unit at that particular time.
Diana, in Calaveras County, I know we had some issues with people with second homes that weren't getting alerts because the way they set up their code, they had their permanent residence as an address. So of course that didn't fall in to the alert. Are you having issues like that up in Amador County?
Well, not that I've heard of, and I don't, so CAL FIRE doesn't maintain the code red, that's through the sheriff's office. But for me personally, I had signed up myself and my residents, but I also signed up to get alerts on my phone for my loved ones, and especially with my parents. So I know that when my parents were alive, they lived out in actually a very scary area in terms of fire danger, very heavily wooded and on the top of a ridge. So I made sure to register their address on my phone so that I would get that alert, and then I would be able to then make sure I made contact with them or did help them get out, because it would have taken more time for them being older and being in a remote area. So it's something that I also
that's a really good idea.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's an excellent idea.
So yeah, I do, and anybody that has any sort of disability, or even, a close friend that needs help, like say you have a horse trailer and they don't. I mean, anything that you can do to kind of think outside your own box will be helpful, and just get a little bit of a head start should an evacuation occur. One of the things that I think we've definitely learned this with some of our more recent fires, like the Camp Fire and those over Santa Rosa area, and Tubbs Fire. It's hard to get out, and especially if you don't have a plan. But if you have animals, or you have anything that's going to cause any kind of mobility issues or things like that, don't wait. If you're nervous, that's God's way of telling you, you got to start getting ready. Listen to your gut, and don't wait. It's not worth it. It really isn't. It's okay. I mean, who cares if you took a lot of time to load up your animals or to get your things together, and you got out and then you came back and the fire was nowhere near it. Thank goodness. That's great. No harm done. So it's always better to err on the side of caution.
Any other questions?
Yeah, this is
Okay.
Brown. I've got one for Diana. In the box behind her, is it Captain Cal or Smokey?
You notice that. So we have one of the first Captain Cals, and I'm very proud to say this is our very own for the unit. However, he's still in the box because I'm afraid to get COVID on him, so he's not being used right now. But as soon as we're feeling a little bit more comfortable, then yeah, you'll be seeing him out for public education and events, hopefully parades and whatnot. We would definitely want to get him out there.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
And we still have Smokey, so they're a team. It's a team effort. So good observation.
Diana, thank you very much for spending the time with us.
You bet.
We obviously, with our Wildfire Initiative Committee, we established that after the Paradise Fire because so many seniors were lost in that fire. And we felt it was part of our commission's objective was to produce something to help these seniors, to get them as much information as possible, to get them out of danger as quickly as possible. So we do thank you. And believe me, we appreciate all the work that you guys have done and are doing. I personally fought a fire in South Dakota when I was in the Air Force. They garnered us out, and it is no darn fun. I can guarantee you it's a hell of a lot of work. And it seems like about 2 a.m. when you're freezing up on the top of a mountain that they've forgotten all about you. And I'm not so sure they didn't forget about us that one day. But it's a dangerous job, and we really do thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to our organization reports. Board of Supervisors, Jeff or Frank, or Frank.
Hi, this is Jeff Brown, Amador County Supervisor. Just for your knowledge, we have, since we're kind of talking about fire here, we do have 3 water tenders out of county right now assisting with fires outside. one of the things that happened yesterday is we had a call out. We had Tones. I was happened to be down in Chief White's office, and Tones went out to go up to Salt Springs Reservoir. Well, unfortunately, it wasn't Salt Springs Reservoir. It was Salt Springs Valley Reservoir. So one of the things that we need to make sure if we call in an emergency is make sure we're calling in the correct emergency where the fire is located. That is now called the Salt Fire, and I guess it's 1,500 acres down near Copperopolis. We are also, as we're talking, in the fire weather warning currently for the Weather Association has sent out. So please be careful and be safe. And that's all I have right now.
Okay, Frank, do you have anything?
Yes, I do. The county is engaged countywide in a community economic development strategy. So this was through a grant through the EDA, which is the Economic Development Administration, which is a federal agency. And we hired an outside consultant as a facilitator, and we're putting together kind of a strategy, a SWOT analysis for our county. So that's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and a direction for economic development and prosperity in Amador County. This will include all the cities, as well as outreach to a number of businesses in the area, a number of community groups and agencies, including I'm hoping the Commission on Aging or the Senior Center will be contacted, and or you can participate. There will be a website for user input so that you can go on at any time and make your comments to the fill out a survey and make your comments to this process. One of the things that this will help us in the future or down the road is to apply for various grant funding for projects in the community. So that's something that we're trying to put together, projects that have to do with economic development. So for example, they could be roads, key intersections, they could be wastewater treatment facilities, things that are going to be necessary for certain types of economic prosperity to occur. So we're really excited about that, and you know, we're about to kind of get into the thick of it here soon. So we're hoping that everyone will participate.
Great, thank you. All right, we'll move on then to the Area 12 Advisory Council and Legislative. Lynn, is there anything coming up in legislation?
No, nothing that I would be aware of at this point. We apparently are not having a meeting in August, which surprised me. There's a director's report that I just got an email on. So no, there's really nothing happening there. I think I'll wait till the wildfire report to ask a couple questions to Frank and Jeff. So,
okay,
if that's okay.
Sure. All right, Amador Senior Center is Chris on?
Hello.
Oh, there you are. Hello, Chris.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Chris.
Good to see you all. The Senior Center continues to remain closed. We've been closed since March 15th, and we continue to provide lunches to seniors here in the county. And we're averaging about 1,500 meals per month. And the area agency expanded and revised our contract upward to provide up to 21,000 meals to seniors here in the county. So we're really excited about that. We're glad to have that partnership. And we now have power generation as an emergency backup to any power shutoffs that happen here. So it won't interfere with our program at all. And We also have been distributing box fans to seniors during the heat wave to help keep them cool if they have no other means of doing that. There's been discussion around being a cooling center, but we continue to weigh the risks of having too many people here and sort of how to fairly allow that to happen without having sort of a run on the center. We don't want to have to turn people away, but we're in discussion with the city manager of Jackson right now to talk about how we could potentially open the center at a very limited basis with very strict guidelines. And so by the time we get all that ironed out, the heat wave may have passed, but that's what we're working toward. And we're trying to do it in a safe way. So a lot of adaptive work going on for us, as well as I'm sure every other organization in the county. So that's where we are. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
No, I was just up there at the senior center the other day, and there was a line of traffic a mile long for your lunches. And based on the menu that I've seen, I can see why. It looks mighty good. So you guys are doing a great job up there.
Yeah, thank you, Skip. People seem to be really happy with the transition from our previous kitchen staff to KC from Bistro 49. So it's been a positive transition for us, and I think for the clients as well. They've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're all looking forward to everything getting back to normal, but Lord only knows when that'll be. Okay, we're going to move on to committee reports.
Sure.
1 minute, Skip, Chris, what are the hours again to pick up food? Just refresh.
Oh, the hours, Jeff? Chris?
Yeah, we ask clients to call in by 9 o'clock to reserve, and by 9 o'clock on Thursday to reserve if they want a weekend menu meal package. And that's picked up on Friday. So we're providing 7 meals a week to seniors in the county right now. And then meal pickup is from 11:30 until 12:30. So we give an hour window, which is pretty generous when you consider we're standing out there in 110-degree heat.
My gosh. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on. Actually, I had a misprint on my agenda, the sheriff report. Brandon, are you there with any report?
Yeah, good morning, guys. I apologize. My technology at my desk is not COVID approved. I don't have a microphone or a camera, so I'm going through the phone, and that was causing a problem earlier. I don't have anything in particular to report. As Chris said, we're trying to adapt our operations, accordingly. We're used to doing a lot of public contact, a lot of in-person type contact, and everything is kind of shifting away from that. Kind of trying to balance the public need to distance not only the public, but distance them from us. We're in the business of handling emergencies and oftentimes dealing with scenes and people that may not have the same protections as we would like for everyone, and then to pass that on to other people during routine type calls that we've been able to handle for the last several decades. We've kind of put that on a bit of a suspended state for now, and we're kind of responding to higher priority calls for service and limiting a lot of the more routine type calls to telephone interviews with our deputies to try and, like I said, protect the public and protect our deputies from anyone who might be COVID positive, so that we can continue to provide the services that the county expects. So it's been a struggle. It'll continue to be a struggle. If I could just bounce back to what Diana was saying about evacuations, I was finding a lot of that interesting. From the sheriff's office side, I've been a part of many evacuations over the last 20 years, and one of the most difficult and frustrating things to deal with the evacuations is, we have limited numbers when we're doing the neighborhood evacuations, and we will come by and typically give a warning that the fire is approaching a given location or residential neighborhood. and do a light request to evacuate. And then that gets ramped up as the fire changes direction or becomes more critical to that neighborhood, and then we are issuing an evacuation warning. I think one thing that Diana said is really important to remember is if you get an evacuation order or the sheriff is knocking at your door or the fire department's knocking at your door, please take it seriously. I think it's human nature to try and wait it out. And without even knowing it, I think a lot of people wait to try and see the flames down the street before they actually pick up and leave. And the unfortunate part about that is because of the numbers that we have, once we've notified you, we're moving on to the next neighborhood, the next house, the next block, the next mile radius, and we may not be back after that point. There's limited authority for us to force people to leave. So when we're there and we're issuing that warning or that directive or that request, it is very pressing and immediate that it take place. Grab what is absolutely essential and go to one of the safe locations that we recommend at that point. Diana mentioned, if you have animals, the time to prepare for evacuating your animals isn't when we've notified you. If you have horses, get the trailer ready as soon as fire season rolls around. Have those contacts and people that can assist you ahead of time, hoping that it never happens, but having it in the back of your mind. These evacuations are extremely taxing. We have a small department, typically like with the Butte Fire, we put out a request to neighboring agencies and got responses from all over the Bay Area and the Central Valley would come and help us. But they're limited in their ability to send people away from their jurisdictions where their citizens expect the help from them as well. So with fire season progressing, it's just important to keep in mind if we're there and we're telling you that the fire is coming your way, take it seriously. Go find a friend to stay with, a relative, a neighbor. Like Diana said, if the fire passes you by and doesn't affect your property, doesn't affect your home, then it's a great day. And it was just a little bit of work and stress that's then alleviated, and you almost have that sense of elation at the end of it when you're safe and your property's safe and there's no cost to having a better outcome than what you were hoping for, As far as the sheriff's office, we don't have any particular, we're not creating new programs right now other than those that are related to COVID and certain civil unrest type issues that have been happening over the last couple of months. But we remain available. Anybody here in the meeting that has any questions or any outreach programs or any type of assistance that the sheriff's office can help you with, please reach out to me. In the meantime, I'm kind of just trying to cope with the different stresses and things that life's throwing at us these days.
I have a question. Brandon, I know you guys all kind of work together, but before John Silva left, retired, he was talking about doing a code red test. And I'm wondering if that ever happened. Do you know?
I'm not sure what you mean by a code red test. What do you mean?
Well, they were going to try sending out messages to large swaths of people to see how the system functioned. He would describe it as, how much water can you get through a 1/8 inch hose as a metaphor of how much you can send out telephonically, digitally. And I was just wondering if that test had ever been happened.
I know they've tested that particular problem several times, and we've had favorable results. With relation to whether or not code red will work for you, we use it really regularly, probably several times a month, if not greater than that, and it works without fail. The bigger problem is getting our folks trained to send a retraction after the fact in a timely but empathetic manner. The last time we had a prison escape, we sent a retraction unknowingly or without thinking of it ahead of time at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, because that's when we recovered the folks. But we got a lot of backlash from that because people were upset that we woke them up to tell them that they were safe. So I think that's really the only the only problem that we're experiencing with Code Red. It's not, there's new systems that have come out since then that may be more beneficial for us to research down the road. All of them are very expensive, and I don't know that the small increased amount of capability would outweigh the cost to the taxpayer at this point. But as technology advances, we're keeping an eye on it, and we'll continue to look for better products to serve the community.
And what's the name of the new OES director, Sheriff?
Jason Navarre, he's a sergeant with us, and he took over for John when he retired.
What's his last name? Navarre?
Navarre, it's Navarre.
Thank you.
Sure.
Jason, okay. All right, any other questions for Brandon? All right, Brandon, thank you very much.
That's all you guys got? You're letting me off the hook that easy?
Well, actually, one of the questions I have is, what are these demonstrators doing out in front of Mule Creek Prison?
They are, I guess to summarize, because I'm not intimately familiar with what their intent is, but ultimately they believe that it's a cruel and unusual punishment to keep people incarcerated during the pandemic. They believe that they're more exposed to COVID-19, which I don't know that they're more exposed than other entities that have concentrated amounts of people that are continuing to work. I would argue anyway that all of us that are considered essential services are probably getting exposed more than an inmate who has the ability to social distance by way of the guards locking them down for a great portion of their day. Right. A lot of resources are thrown at incarcerated folks across the board, whether it be jail or prison, to maintain their safety. And I don't see that same level of safety being provided the rest of the public, because it's just cost prohibitive. As far as what they're protesting, I don't know if you're able to be out on a Tuesday afternoon at 1 o'clock protesting. I think you're just unhappy with life in a lot of situations, and trying to get out that frustration, because it seems like there's a new protest for a new reason almost, several times a day these days.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. Okay, anybody else? All right, thank you. We'll move on then to our committee reports. Public information and outreach, I don't know how many of you get the ledger, but of course we have our active aging page in there. I have to admit, in the last 2 months, we've changed the scope of our page to be a little more inspirational. We're getting so much hit so often with information that is a downer, that I thought our seniors need something to be a little more uplifting. So in the last 2 months, I've changed it to put more inspirational things in. And to be really honest, I have had a tremendous response from people writing me letters to the editor. I had a phone call this morning from a lady, don't know who she is. She just said, is this the Skip Schaffel that writes for the paper? And I said, yeah. She said, we really appreciate putting this stuff in the paper, putting the good things in the paper.
I agree.
And I think folks, are almost a little bit beat up with bad news, that a little bit of good news is certainly appreciated. So that's sort of where we're headed, if anybody should ask.
Have you heard anything from Emma lately? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yes, I did. As a matter of fact, I spoke with her Sunday. She's going to have her knee replaced in about 2 months, but she's pretty much out of the county probably for the next 6 months at least, at the very least. But she's doing well. She's happy. And she's, if you know Emma, she's losing weight because they don't feed you exactly great in those homes. But she's in very good spirits, and she's going to continue to write for the paper. So,
Excellent.
yeah, she's doing very well. Okay, I want to move on to membership, and actually with a addition of Jan here, and I hate to say this because I've done it twice before. The 5 minutes later, somebody quit, but we're at 100% now, finally, on our commission. And we've got a good group of people, and I'm really pleased with what we're doing and how we're doing it. So I want to thank everybody for being a member, and please stay a member for at least a month so we can. Okay, transportation, I don't think April is available. And I think Michelle was not available for disaster. So I want to move on to Stephanie with health and behavioral health. Stephanie, how are things going there?
Good, good. As you probably figured, the Health and Human Services building is still closed to the public. So we are not seeing folks in person. It's by appointment only for different services. So, and especially now that we're on the watch list, we have we've scaled back on some of the in-person services that we did start providing again. So if you need anything, though, we're here by phone. And, you know, we're here Monday through Friday, 8 to 6. And then we have after hours crisis workers who call or who are on call. And we have an after hours crisis line also. So there's support 24/7. I do want to just give you some updates. Our Mental Health Services Act 3-year plan, we posted that yesterday. So that will be, I think some of you may have gotten it via email. If you would like a copy, let me know. I'll mail it to you. And then it'll be on our website. And Vanessa will be at the Senior Center, I believe, Friday, doing some outreach. When they do lunch, she sits there and she hands out grab bags full of resources and things of that nature. And just tries to talk to people from a distance in a safe way. But she did have a question for you, and she's on a training right now, so she couldn't make it. But she wanted to know if the commission sees any needs for seniors or specific outreach opportunities that we could engage in, you know, while maintaining social distancing and staying safe. So if there's anything you guys can think of, please let us know, because we want to still do outreach and still get to folks, but it's an unusual time we're in. And so we're here to help with any of that support that folks may need. And that's it for health and behavioral health.
Okay, and I'm going to skip over Vial of Life just for a second, because you're up also on suicide.
Okay.
Prevention.
Yeah, I have a suicide update too.
I think unfortunately, a good friend of mine just lost her son to suicide. And I was just wondering what your updates are on the suicide prevention.
So suicide prevention in the aftermath of COVID has kind of gotten all over the place. I know over the last few years, we've been able to kind of hone in on who, you know, age groups and gender and things of that nature. But unfortunately, when COVID hit, we didn't see an uptick. Let me get the updated information for you guys. But in the last 2 months, we've seen an increase. And let me see here. So this was as of, she sent it in an email. Hold on. Sorry guys, I should have had this pulled up. The last time we received an update, we were, anyways, I'll get it in a second. I believe we were at 5 or 6, and
is that for the year or for?
Yeah, for the year.
So actually we're coming down some then, aren't we?
A little bit, yeah. We had 12 last year, so it was 1 per month, which is really high for our county since, you know, they say there's 100 deaths by suicide for every 100,000 square miles or per population of 100,000. So, you know, that when you're looking at data that way, we're higher. Our suicide rate did go from 3rd to 13th in the state. So we did do better that way. I'm interested to see where we stand as of 2020 because the data does lag 2 years. So, you know, if we've gotten better or worse in that. So we are still meeting. We resumed meeting with our Suicide Prevention Coalition back in June. So we're meeting online every month. Our next meeting is this Thursday via Google Meets. And Vanessa sent out the information on that. And if you guys want, I can send it to you guys also after I'm done talking. And then we did launch a Facebook page, or the coalition did launch a Facebook page that is just for information about suicide prevention resources and trainings. So go find that if you can and like it and share it. It's information only. It's not a crisis page. Behavioral health is not managing that. That's a member of our coalition managing that. But it is just if you need information or you want to share that with other folks. We are working on getting some of our suicide prevention trainings up online. There is our trainer Ken is working with the QPR Institute to provide virtual trainings. So we'll have more information on that hopefully soon. And then we are actually running right now it's our 2nd annual collaboration with the Amador Arts Council. And they are running a online show. If you go to their website, it's you just scroll down, you'll see it. It's Heart of Hope, and it's to celebrate the perseverance and awareness of mental health and suicide prevention. So folks who have lived experience or have been directly impacted by mental health or suicide, they were encouraged to submit their art for the show. And it is going on right now. And on Suicide Prevention Awareness Day, which is September 10th, we're having a live virtual event at 6 p.m. Via Zoom or Facebook. And that'll be launched through Amador Arts since they have those capabilities. So a few of us will be speaking about things and while the art is showing. So it should be pretty neat if anyone wants to join in on that. And then I'm just looking for those updated numbers really quick.
Now, did you say September 10th was the Suicide Prevention Day? Okay.
Yes. And we're having the virtual Heart of Hope event at 6 p.m. that day. Okay. Could you also, that is being advertised in the newspaper, and it's also I'm pretty sure Vanessa will be sending it out in her announcements.
Okay. If you could send it to me, I can make sure everybody on the commission gets all that information.
I will do that. I'll also send you the information for our Amador Speaks, our Suicide Prevention Coalition meeting this Thursday. And yeah. And I'm sorry to hear about your friend. I am. All right. I think that's all I have right now while I dig up this data.
Okay, we'll move on then.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about the Vial of Life with Linda.
Well, I haven't really had a chance to do anything with that, but I am scheduled to be the first guest speaker when the Sierra Bells has their first luncheon. And I'm going to talk about the Vial of Life and some of the other programs that are available at the Senior Center, just to make the membership more aware of what's available. And it's whenever we get to have a luncheon again. So it might be a while, but I am scheduled for that. But other than that, I don't have anything new.
Okay. Lynn, Wildfire Safety Initiative.
Well, we haven't really done anything. Thomas and I exchanged emails about having a Zoom meeting, but we never did get to doing it. The other thing that was suggested, and which I completely forgot about, so if anybody would like to help with this, which would be to go down to the senior center when it's cooler and hand out more code red cards. That's about the only thing we really can do at this point. We talked about doing it outside some supermarkets, but we haven't pursued that. I just want to mention the importance of evacuations and leaving early. I don't think that can ever be stressed enough. Diana talked about it. Brandon just talked about it. You don't want to wait to the last minute. And I have a question though. So there wouldn't be any evacuation centers here in the county for people. They'd have to find other alternatives for themselves. Can anybody answer that, Frank or Jeff?
Well, CAL FIRE, this is Jeff. CAL FIRE normally handles the evacuation centers as the central point if the fire gets that big. There would still be, as far as I know, there'll still be evacuation centers, but it'll be a whole different world in its operation of how they deal with it. As always, be prepared to survive, having stuff in your own car and making sure that you guys, anybody can take care of themselves for a little bit, because the first 48 hours of any fire, it's always a weird situation, as far as dealing with everything. So that's what Diana was saying is that, if you don't have to go to evacuation center, see if there's somewhere else you can go to. I've coordinated myself with all my family, and I've told them different routes that I'm going to be taking. So if any way I have to get out of the upper side of the county, they'll know that, hey, I may be going up through Reno and to get back into California. So there's always whatever you need to do to prepare.
Okay, so so CAL FIRE then is not planning on any evacuation centers here locally?
So, no, Lynn, I think there's not been any talk of eliminating evacuation centers or anything like that. My comment earlier was just to be kind of more on a self prepare, try to avoid situations where there's going to be a lot of people, right? So if you have a place to stay, and I think for most cases, people want to avoid an evacuation center if they can, but there are those that can't. That's the only option. And generally, once the evacuation center location has been determined, the Red Cross will come in and establish that and get that set up. So I've been to a fire where there was an evacuation center. I did not actually physically go there, but there was very few people there. They did keep track of how many people were there. And I would imagine, although I don't know how the Red Cross or whoever organizes that would set that up, but I would imagine it would be very similar to having some of these other things that we do, like for blood drives and whatnot. There's partitions and different things like that to try to kind of mitigate that, aspirating any sort of,
keeping your distance.
Exactly. So I just think in general, just to remain cognizant of that, because it's different. I mean, it's always bad, but this pandemic has made it even worse. And so it's made us have to think of other alternatives. And like Jeff was saying, having those at least a couple of routes out, you don't want to wait and get caught in any kind of traffic that could slow down your evacuation. And one thing that I wanted to add is that I know it's kind of hard, and we tend to not want to think about things that are bad or put off dealing with that, but practice. If you can come up with a plan with your family or with your, who's in your immediate household, practice an evacuation. What is it that you're going to need? I think of these especially because my parents, they had health conditions and my dad was on oxygen. And so, I mean, you have equipment. So how long does it take you to get out of the house? You know, you don't need to rush, but just you practice that process so that when, if, you know, something were to happen, that immediate, I think, human response is that deer in the headlights panic, where you sort of freeze. I mean, a lot of people just don't know what to do. But just like anything else, if you've at least practiced or you've kind of gone through it through your head, or you have a checklist, then you take that processing factor out. You're just kind of doing what you've already determined is your course of action. And I think that's your best bet. And of course,
I think for seniors, that's really, really good advice, is to practice and to know what your routes are. And for many people, they only have one route. And where I live, fundamentally, there's one route, except I do know one horrible back way. So, okay, so that was really my report, was more questions. So thank you, everybody.
hey, and Lynn, if you needed to reach out to me at any time for information to hand out, I know we have, you may have seen these, the Ready, Set, Go pamphlets. We just finally got some more. We had a shortage for a long time. So I can get some for you, and they have the checklists.
Yeah, when we're ready to go, that would be wonderful. Is that the 4-page one?
It's a few pages.
2 page. Okay, well, yeah. Rob Withrow said they weren't going to make any more of those.
Well,
so that's great. I'm happy.
I got a hold of some, and then we were going. They were trying to modify a little bit. I guess update it. So I did just receive a package of them, and so I can definitely get those to you at some point. We'll have to sidebar.
We can coordinate. That would be great. We're not doing anything right now, but as soon as we get to that point, that would be terrific. Thanks, Diane.
Hey, thank you, Lynn. Tom, do you have anything?
No, it would be nice to have other volunteers when we determine when we might, if it's acceptable to the senior center, be able to be there during the lunchtime pass out code red cards and stuff. Other volunteers from the commission.
That's a good idea, because I picked up some meals, and there were, I don't know who they were, but they're passing out bags with toothbrushes and dental information, which I thought was pretty cool. So that might be a good idea.
One of the local dentists, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. I think Thomas makes a good point. Thank you.
Okay, our health and resource fair, Brandy, I haven't heard from Brandy at all, so I'm gonna make some contact with her.
This is Stephanie. Vanessa helps Brandy with those.
Right.
And they're just kind of on hold right now. They're gonna regroup and figure out how to maybe do something virtually or connect through some other way. So, yeah.
Yeah, because the type of fair that we have people there, and we expect people to come in. And in this day and age, we just simply can't do that. I don't know how we could even manage to do it virtually. So, yeah, I can see that being on hold. Okay, a visible sign project. What did we got?
You had that with the treasurer's report.
I had that with the treasurer's report. So, okay, so is there any announcement? Are there any announcements or correspondence?
Skip, I've got one.
Okay.
I just got an email. It's a press release. I came to the meeting late. I don't know if anybody else mentioned this. Jackson will be opening a cooling center today at the Civic Center from 1 to 5. Of course, social distancing and face masks are required. There'll be tables, chairs, and water available. And then again, starting Saturday through the following Thursday, the Civic Center again will be open as a cooling center from 1 to 5.
Oh, great.
Good news.
Yeah.
Well, it takes a little coordination. The police department is the one that's sent out the press release, and I, like everybody else, is staying at home. So I don't go down to the city hall very often, but we know there's a need for it, and we've been trying to coordinate. It's not necessarily the best place, and so they might apparently have found some volunteers, might even be using police officers, I don't know, but it will be open today, 1 to 5, and then again Saturday through the following Thursday.
That's great. We sure appreciate that information.
Is Chris still here so we can tell Chris?
I'll give Chris a call.
Yeah,
Okay.
good.
Probably started serving lunch.
Good idea.
Okay, next
All
month,
over by now.
hoping to have Debbie Shug here from Area 12. She's the High Cap Program Manager. She's going to tell us all about the anything new that's happening in High Cap. And with that, we'll adjourn and we'll meet next September 16th. I just want to thank everybody for being here. Diana, thank you very much for your information. Again, we appreciate everything that CAL FIRE and our Sheriff's Department has done during this particular time to make life a heck of a lot easier than it could be. So thank you, folks, everybody, and have a great day.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, everyone.
Thank you, Skip.
What time is it?
Bye.
11:30.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Linda.
Bye-bye.